A warm welcome to all of you. Today's topic is project management with Easy Redmine. It is my great pleasure to welcome Lukáš Hoka, who is Sales Director at Easy Redmine.
My name is, as Steffi said, Lukáš Hoka. I'm the Channel Sales Director at Easy Software. I have been here for about 10 years and gone through 4 different positions. So I will move on to Easy Software as a company that actually develops Easy Redmine. I know that there is a different Easy Software as a company in Germany, but this is the Easy Software that was founded in Prague, and that's basically the company that I have been working for the past 10 years. But for the simplicity, I'll mostly use Easy Redmine to make it simple. I'm not going to turn into a boring storyteller, so I'll stick to essentials. And I've also promised core understanding of Easy Redmine. Why does it exist? Who does it help? How does it help? Why do we do both on-premises and cloud? Why do we do both Agile and Waterfall? And some of you might be interested in easy8.ai, which is our spin-off focusing on AI automations and integrations as well. And then we're going to jump into the application itself. Our software is not an ERP, like SAP, for example, but it's not a simple note taker either. So trying to explain everything would be a disaster. My goal is to help you create some sense of familiarity and feel of the application. Yeah, and then we'll do the Q&A before closing the webinar. So let me put up this diagram that we present as the general overview of Easy Redmine. I feel as human beings, we are sometimes very simple. We see a picture or a visualization and we like it. A software platform or a software suite is basically what we call Easy Redmine. It consists of 3 main pillars when it comes to functionality: the hybrid project management, the IT service management, and source code management. If you're unhappy that some of those keywords that you see on the diagram are not properly addressed here, don't worry. You've seen the agenda, so you know that I'm going to circle back to Easy Redmine and give it a little bit more love. Now I'm painting the picture and providing a perspective. Same goes for that Easy AI thing at the bottom. I'll address that as well, even though this portion will get its own session in November. After all, we are all getting to a point where it's completely essential to implement artificial intelligence into softwares like this. Have you noticed some similarities in Redmine and Easy Redmine? Of course, there is a strong connection there, and I will get to that when I'm talking a little bit more about the company history, because the old Redmine and Easy Redmine are heavily connected, of course. Now, the next level of that is, some of you might have been looking at the previous diagram thinking, wait a second, their project and work management, it sounds like an alternative to Jira software, and you would be right. Or wait a second, their help desk sounds like an alternative to Service Desk by Atlassian, and you would be right again. And then wait a second, knowledge base, ITSM support, that also sounds like an alternative to Atlassian stack. And what else is there to say? Yes, being shortlisted against Atlassian products happens to us very often, especially ever since Atlassian started backing out of on-premises solutions, which we have made a long-term commitment to because server solutions are very crucial to us. And it has generally been very helpful along with the open source nature of Easy Redmine. I'm saying this because sometimes, rather than explaining in length what Easy Redmine is, sometimes it's easier to say, yeah, it's like Jira, it's like Atlassian, similar. So you can at least create some kind of association in your mind. And then, yeah, Asana, ClickUp, Monday.com, Write could be here, Basecamp, Microsoft Project. We don't always do the same thing as those softwares, but there can be strong overlaps. And sometimes we are pitted against them in a competition. And at the end of the day, you can't know all those softwares. We have been working with Gartner for a long time, and there is apparently about 4.3 thousand project management softwares out there. So it's no surprise if you're not familiar with any one of those. To sum this up before I move forward, this is the picture we're using on our website. One of our common statements is breaking silos. You can have each department operating well with functional processes, but if these departments or teams are disconnected, it is going to cause trouble. Redmine in such scenarios works great as like a single point of truth, a place where all the context can be provided. But the main point is integrations are going to be more important than ever. Now I'm going to use this as a segue to jump from the software itself to Easy Software as a company, if you don't mind. And you've heard it right. I said Easy Software. That's because the name of the company, the software is called Easy Redmine. I'll leave some of the slides with basic information on while I speak about the company a little further. For us, it has been important to understand our place in the market. Sure, we will never be as financially strong at Atlassian, for example, so we have always had to make up for it. We had to be more dynamic, more hands-on. We had to be addressing certain niches. And like I said, Atlassian's exit from server solutions and stopping data centers has been great for us, for example. Clients that do not get proper care from Atlassian, those are usually very big pillars and important clients in our portfolio. And last but not least, what has been very heavy for us internally is the European presence. For example, we have tested a lot of AI tools in the past for a note taker or meeting recorder. The most common or most popular one was gong.io, but their approach to GDPR was very poor. So at the end of the day, we needed to choose a different software. And we are often chosen by European companies for similar reasons. Even though we do business globally, our main focus is Europe. For example, I can't go into details because of NDAs, but we have extensive projects in the German IT infrastructure running because we are a European provider, an open source software, and we are acting there as an Atlassian alternative. So the German IT infrastructure has been replacing Jira and Atlassian with Easy Redmine specifically for those reasons. And why am I mentioning all of this? Quite honestly, B2B might be business to business, but we know the reality. It's still human to human at the end of that line. We are still making preferences and decisions based on emotions and feelings. Now, it's a little tough to explain or prove in a few minutes like this, but we do have a set of internal values that have been a part of Easy Software for years. We work with them on our job scorecards, on our quarterly reviews, or we have recurrent activities based on these 5 main values. I'll leave this timeline on the screen for a minute to give some sort of historical perspective, just to show that we've been around for quite a while and we've always grew through profit. But I'll focus on 2011 because that was an important milestone. Back then, Easy Software had a different business focus as their main agenda. And they were using the old Redmine as their project management tool with heavy modifications. Now, some of their clients started noticing these heavy modifications and asked to be delivered something similar or to get similar upgrades, which eventually led the company to do a full shift towards developing Easy Redmine. And through that, we quickly became the #1 in the Redmine community, which eventually allowed us to grow out of it. I'm mentioning this because I love stories. It's very important for me to know that there is a story behind a company, that it's not just a pile of cash thrown into a market. So that's why I like to promote this. Yeah, annual investing back into the Redmine community that gave us the crucial start, founding a mindfulness foundation in Czech Republic or supporting the ocean cleanup project for obvious reasons. However, I would like to jump out of Easy Software now and back into Easy Redmine. I tried to bring you a little closer to us because, like I said before, myself, I wouldn't pay attention to a software without knowing that there is some credibility behind it. For me, like I said, I've gone through 4 positions throughout my stay with Easy Software, which allowed me to work with, or which allowed me to implement Easy Redmine in companies like NASA, Lockheed Martin, Panasonic in Japan, General Electric, the European Agency for the Space Program, several companies in the defense industry that I unfortunately cannot name, same for automotive, or let alone the central IT service provider of the German federal government. But enough with the flex. I've promised a little insight into Easy 8 as well. Long story short, we have all seen artificial intelligence everywhere, right? Am I even real, or am I an AI avatar? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Just kidding. It became quite essential to have AI components in your application, especially when focused on efficiency. We are no different, so we've obviously had to invest into that a lot. I'll share a bit in a few minutes, but once again, there will be the second session on this topic exactly, so I don't really want to steal too much out of it. However, that's not all that we've done. since we realized that there is so many companies struggling with the AI adoption, or rather either AI adoption or just utilizing AI to build automations and integrations, we created an Easy Software spin-off and called it Easy8. It's a group of Easy Software employees that have dedicated a lot of their time to AI in general. Now, they are not only building custom solutions with Easy Redmine in the ecosystem, they are also working on projects unrelated to Easy Redmine, with the side benefit of bringing all that knowledge back to Easy to build up Easy Redmine further. It's our commitment to project management as a discipline, because simple project management tools won't be enough in a few years. They'll need to have these extra values, and Easy8 is our way of bringing that extra value. It gets us very close to individual use cases, to challenges, to scenarios, so we can build features that are quickly useful and bring fast results. And I can imagine that the real use cases, some AI agents and automations will be presented on the session in November. So yeah, that was Easy Software and Easy8 with a little bit of a peek into the future as well. And let's get back to Easy Redmine now. Life is hard. I don't want to complain, but nobody told me adulthood was going to be so much trouble. Now, considering the amount of time we spend working, for me, it's nice that I am in an industry of helping people. Sure, we are not doing it for free, but still. I'm hinting on some of the challenges I've lined up on this slide that you see right now. It's a consolidation of our experience based on our clients' feedbacks. Apologies for reading for what's on the slide. I generally don't do that, but it's important here. So it's tool sprawl and fragmented workflows, which you have too many softwares at some point, you don't know how to work with that. The lack of flexibility in project management, where you feel like you need to adjust to a software rather than make the software adjust to your company. Inability to migrate into cloud solutions, because there is so many organizations out there that simply cannot go to cloud because of regulations, legislations, or just some scares of security. Lack of resource management, disconnected post-project support, or the overall low price / the price for value in SMBs. A combination of those tends to be the starter for Easy Redmine evaluation or some kind of digital transformation in general. Since I'm talking about clients, might as well mention our most common audience. The nature of this is pretty simple. It's either companies close to our nature, so companies in IT, software developers, or service providers, or companies that tend to have very strong regulations and requirements, such as engineering, manufacturing, automotive, aerospace, defense. Those tend to be very close to Easy Redmine. Not going to lie, it can be often difficult to go through the motions of these companies, but it's generally worth the effort at the end. And as far as actual people, on the other side, that has some range as well. The most common point of contact is someone from the project management office. In bigger companies, it can be digital transformation officers, CTOs, often citing one of those pains or challenges from the previous slide as the initiation point. But back to the diagram. Hybrid project management. A key aspect being adoptable by almost anyone. Hybrid project management has been the bread and butter of Easy Redmine. Hybrid because we have seen literally thousands of cases amongst our clients where it's very difficult to find purely agile or purely waterfall organizations. It tends to be some kind of combination or a hybrid setup or one of the other with customizations. Once again, it's impossible to talk about everything in detail, so I'll bring up some of them, and hopefully we'll get to take a look at some of them in the application later on as well. So when it comes to agile tools, for us, customizable visual workflows, Kanban columns, Kanban cards, real-time collaboration, swim lines, sorting of tasks according to users, and then task filters, board search. Those are usually the most crucial aspects of agile planning. Then the alpha omega of basic project planning, the Gantt chart, which has been important for decades at this point. Project and global levels, essential project information in a timeline, drag and drop project updates without leaving the Gantt, or identifying potential bottlenecks through one page. That's generally the biggest advantages of a Gantt chart. I could list a whole list of them, but that would just be way too boring, and I don't want to go into that unless I really have to. Then there's the resource management, which has been our top seller since 2014. Robust enough to support complex approaches, designed to be usable without a huge time commitment and effort as well. It gives you an overview of all the people and their utilization on a project or a global level, with the attendance management included in a clear timeline. I'll show that in just a second. The work breakdown structure and mind maps, two very effective visual tools to plan or brainstorm or work with actual tasks. In my mind, these are simple, but it's difficult to do them right. A very good candidate to spend a quick minute on during the demonstration later as well. And I'll close out the hybrid project management with the thing that cannot be left out, which is the time tracking and reporting. I'll leave out the obvious and just gonna say filtering and reporting capabilities are golden in combination with time tracking by project, by task, by user, by activity, or by any other custom field you want to create yourselves. Timesheets per specific periods, all easily visualized. That's generally what this is about. Now jumping to the next section, which is the ITSM. No time wasted, so let's ball straight into it. I mentioned that the resource management used to be our top seller, and right after the core package, of course, the help desk has always been close second. It's a ticketing system in combination with our filtering and reporting, cool SLAs options, email templates, notification systems, automatic statistics, performance monitoring, reports per client or reports per project. Many options available there. Back to breaking silos. This brings the customer care closer to projects, to PM office, and opens access to context. And since we're talking about ITSM, I can't miss the knowledge base, which is actually based on MediaWiki technology, so it still fulfills the open source story, consolidating and structuring your content and knowledge, creating a base of information for future AI utilization as well, keeping large documentations in order and everything integrated with the rest of Easy Redmine. Then there is an asset and configuration management, which gives you the option to create organizing assets within Easy Redmine, whether it's cars, laptops, licenses, a range of options, once again, very customizable. When I get to the third pillar, the source code management, I'm just going to fly through source code management for the purpose of saving time and for the purpose of SCM not being my expertise. Long story short, GitLab and GitHub integrations are the bread and butter here, but mostly it's about the complete story of Easy Redmine and giving context across departments. So when it comes to CTOs, release managers, project managers, they are in Easy Redmine and they have a clear overview of developers and understanding the progress and context of the project. Development team members, they work in their tools. They don't have to worry about tracking it in two different softwares because it's integrated with Easy Redmine. No duplication of work, no adoption of new processes, just focusing on their job. You have probably spotted Easy AI at the bottom of the diagram, obviously. We've broken it down into three categories within Easy Redmine: personal, project, and service AI, depending on its purpose. The personal AI generally helps you write better or translate. It summarizes tasks for you to save time and get quick context, or scouts through the entire knowledge base in your app to get quick answers and insight. Project AI allows automated project planning from PDFs or quickly provides a project report and context. And then Service AI is utilized in our help desk and helps with efficient ticketing, drafting responses, providing context, analyzing the issue. A big portion of it is included in our, let's call it, the most common license. I've mentioned this a few times, but I do want to communicate it clearly because it has been very important for us over the past, let's say, 2 to 3 years. Moving everything into cloud is obviously the trend. The majority of providers do cloud only. However, we come from server solutions. That's where we initially grew. With so many other players leaving this segment, it often opens great opportunities for us. We've made strong commitments to our partners to stay the way we are, an open source software available both in cloud and on premises. And this way we are giving our clients the chance to move forward at their own speed. There's obviously a ton of details that could be shared, but I would rather leave it as a call to action to connect either with me on LinkedIn or with anyone else involved, or just start a trial through the website, explore and talk more to people from our side. What's important for us has been, like I said, the ability to deliver either an on-premise solution, which can be a perpetual one, which means a lot of stability, a lot of credibility, and basically no vendor lock for many of clients in the spectrum or in the industry where they are very worried about migrating to cloud. This I would call just a mention about the necessary stamp of compliance. It is once again important for obvious reasons. Throughout these evaluation processes, it comes up quite often. Very important to make sure that we're going through regular audits. And then once again, we are heavily utilizing N8N for automations and integrations. It's going to be more and more interconnected with our platform, and it gives us a ton of new options to bring a lot of new value. I think this might be the ideal point to make the switch and move away from PowerPoint and start little peeks into the application itself. There is a wide range of audience for Easy Redmine in general, from universities across the world to a literal satellite building project in NASA, from each project member through the head of PMO up to CEOs sometimes. So providing a use case to dozens of people at once tends to be very difficult. Therefore, I'll try to do a bit of a trial experience, circling back to the goal that I set at the beginning of this session. Soaking Easy Redmine in, getting a feeling for what it looks like. So I'll quickly jump into the trial application. It's the trial application that you can start yourselves at any time. For me, for example, I'm using the Chrome browser, and I want to start with a basic layout explanation, starting with the top blue panel, which is a static one, which gives you a homepage button, a quick jump through dashboards, which is something that you don't need to necessarily know that much later, but basically a simple search field that gets you throughout the system and some like key elements that I don't think I need to go really button by button. On the left side, there is a personalized left panel, which you can work with based on what the composition of your team is. For example, in our situation, I'm from the sales team. So when I log into our Easy Redmine, this left panel looks entirely different and consists of completely different buttons than my colleagues from consulting department, from customer success, from the project teams. And then we have the tabs right here that you can go through and customize, and then the overall working screen. But I'm talking about this because I want to highlight flexibility. Flexibility has always been our biggest advantage. Easy Redmine is an application that doesn't brute force the company to adopt to it. We much more prefer when the software can adapt to the company without any coding required. And we generally do that through this environment, through the layout and customizable panels, and also through business dashboards. That's a fancy key phrase for you can filter or generate a report on whatever you want. Redmine's biggest advantage has always been flexibility and no-code customizations. Through that, you can achieve great adaptability without really any technical knowledge. Now, what we're looking at right here is a homepage. It could be called a personal dashboard, but honestly, with the amount of time I spend looking at it, might as well be called a homepage. It's a combination of filters, graphs, widgets, using all your custom fields, defining your company and what you do. So in this case, for example, if I jump to project manager, just to give you a feel of what a homepage like this might look like, I'll just go very slowly through some of these tabs. This is an obvious starting point, both for the user experience, but also for user adoption, because change management in these cases is super important. Into our application, the users of our application can be product owners, project managers, portfolio managers, CTOs, service desk managers, developers, consultants, testers. So many roles can be accessing Easy Redmine, and in many cases, even clients or other stakeholders. And the goal for Easy Redmine has always been to make sure that each role has a personalized experience. So you want to open the application and see what's important for you. I'll jump to a different application and I'll switch in between roles right now just to show you how it can differ. For you, you just pay attention to this left side panel, to the customizable one. And I'll start as a service desk agent, for example. You can tell that the left side panel changed quite heavily. If I change to a consultant, you can see that it changes again because it has a different pre-definition. And if I jump and log in as a technical director, it changes again. Now on the left side, for example, there's this button new. If I drop down on it, you can see that I can create a new bug report, new user story, or a new help desk ticket. All these options are also templates that our clients can use for themselves. So whatever I want to have on this left side panel, because I know that I would be utilizing it daily, I can do that quite easily with Easy Redmine. And generally speaking, simple options like these can go very, very long way. So when it comes down to me talking to our clients, the first step always starts with individual care. Who is testing Easy Redmine? Let's set up their profiles and draft their homepages. Then the second question is, who's going to be the heavy influencer? And then we do the same for them. And who's going to block the adoption the most? And then do the same for them. Before I try to do a simple step-by-step thing here, let me open a project. I think it's here in projects. Because I believe there is a project which is actually based on our real-life utilization of Easy Redmine. We are releasing one major version of Easy Redmine per year, plus a bunch of minors in between. And what you're looking at right here is the template of our major product release of how we work with that within Easy Redmine. I would say each release quite nicely fits into the hybrid project management category. There is a ton of agile components, a lot of agile planning in between, but the whole project is delivered in more of a waterfall sequence. So I've opened this project and you can notice that the project itself has its own tabs. This one, what I'm looking at is the dashboard of the project. Once again, it's like a homepage of the project. I could delete all of what you're looking at and I could put whatever else I would want there to be. And then when it comes to these tabs, I can also work with these tabs, customize it, change it, rearrange it. I can obviously do all of that. What I want to do is I want to just quickly describe how our releasing process looks like. It starts with the final beta testing. So you can see there's the final beta testing visible in the Gantt chart. Then follows up by the internal release where we test the new version internally. We prepare marketing versions or marketing materials in between. And then comes the trial release because we first release it to new trial accounts that are being set up through our website rather than affecting our existing user base immediately. And as you can see, there's a lot of sequencing, a lot of waterfall aspects to it. Then comes the production release, and then we upgrade our cloud applications, and then we make sure that all our server clients get the correct version of the new Easy Redmine as a downloadable package in their client zone. And then if I scroll down, you can see the Scrum board as well, which basically does the same thing. It's the same set of tasks, but in this case, the board uses deliverables as the swim line. So in this case, value proposition and sales pitch, landing page, presentation apps, one by one. And obviously, if I want to play with that, if I want to make any kind of customizations to make that agile board look however I want, to make those cards customizable, that's something that I can definitely do as well. Now, for the purpose of this quick session, let's quickly do a simple workflow, just so you know how a new project setup can look like. So I'm going to click on this plus icon on the top right, and I'm going to click on project, and I'm going to open a project from a template. Once again, templates would most likely be created by our clients because they know the best how their business, how their operations look like. I'm just going to select the Agile template, and I'm going to create a template from this. And I'm just going to call it a test because that's probably the simplest one. Project was successfully created. As you can see, I have a simple dashboard for this project, which hasn't really been defined. It's just using the basic metric. But there's always been this kind of holy trinity, as we called it back in the day, where we would, and now let me quickly activate mind maps modules, resources, and Gantt for that. Now you can see that they show up right here when I activate it. We've always started with mind maps, and I do believe that if I open a new testing mind map, we can actually start working with that as well. No, that's not what I wanted. So let me show that in a different one. It's probably easier if I do it somewhere else. If I show you what that could look like, this mind maps, this one. The purpose of a mind map in Easy Redmine is you might not necessarily want to start creating tasks into the system and create notifications for people, overwhelm the project setup and stuff like that. In mind maps, it's literally just a board of ideas. So here is where you go when you just think about something and you want to start planning out your project. Then you go to the test project, to WBS, which is a graphical visualization of the project itself. And here you can quickly start creating new tasks, test 2, and start creating specific layouts. This gives you a very nice opportunity to quickly lay out the project, lay out the number of tasks and the processes that you need to deliver. If I were to go to WBS in this project, for example, you can tell what it can look like once the project has been developed into some kind of state. And obviously then the color coding. Right now it's color coded by a tracker, which is a type of a task. I can color code it by priority, and just by drag and drop then change the priority of plenty of those tasks, or I can color code it by assignee, and just by drag and drop I can change assignees. That's one of the things that has been very successful around Easy Redmine, the way it visualizes projects. But let's say that I've created a few tasks like this. I've successfully saved it. Once I have an idea what I'm supposed to be doing, I can go to the Gantt chart, which gives me the timeline of it, where I can actually play around with the timeline and start working with start dates, due dates, and overall rearrange my work a little bit, create relations if I want to, and work with it that way. So like this, for example, I can quickly create some kind of sequencing and make sure that this whole thing does whatever I need it to do. And then once I am done with this, I can actually jump into a resource management, which in this case, it's going to be empty, unless I'm mistaken, because I've created a new project. But I'm pretty sure that if I'm going to go to resource management on this project, it's going to give me a better result. So resource management, once again, it's a timeline similar to a Gantt chart. But right now I'm looking at all the people involved in this particular project, and I can work with their capacities. So for example, Konstantin consultant right here, I can see the tasks this person has assigned to themselves in a calendar to have an understanding where they are and to have an understanding of their utilization, which also takes attendance management, vacations, public holidays into account. And if I'm a project manager and I know that I will need Konstantin with me in March 2026, for example, I can easily create a reservation, then define the reservation and continue working with it that way. Then obviously I could just as well jump into the Agile portion. And if I would create tasks here, I could start with working with it this way. Now, this would be the way that I would generally present the very beginning of the very first introduction to Easy Redmine.